How's it going, race fans? My name is Ryan, and this is Ryan's Race Update. So this past Saturday, Dog Hollow Speedway hosted the Renegades of Dirt Modified Touring Series, and it was an excellent night of racing, beautiful night, and all the conditions were just right. We had a great turnout of both fans and drivers, and we hope everybody enjoyed their night of races this past weekend. So let's now jump into some of the highlights of the evening. After 3 rainouts, this was our first official points racing night at Dog Hollow, and we had 87 cars in the pits, 20 of which were the Modified Touring Series cars. One of the drivers in the field of Modified Touring Series cars was none other than David Stremme. As most of you might know, David Stremme is a former NASCAR Cup Series driver. David Stremme's last NASCAR race was back in 2014, and his biggest achievement in NASCAR was winning the 2003 Busch Series Rookie of the Year. After his time in NASCAR, he went to race in the Renegades of Dirt Modified Touring Series, driving the number 35 car. So coming from the high banks of Daytona International Speedway, David Stremme took to his dirt modified car this weekend and raced at grassroots Dog Hollow Speedway. While Stremme did very well in qualifying on Saturday, others weren't as fortunate. Modified driver Justin Hart unfortunately flipped his car during qualifying while driving in turns 3 and 4. Now, I didn't end up seeing the wreck for myself, but I did hear that he flipped about 7 times, so it must have been a pretty violent wreck. Justin was able to climb out of his car unharmed, but had to have his car hauled back to the pits. During the first modified heat race, modified driver Michael Altobelli and David Stremme sat on the front row. At the start of the race, the 6M car behind David Stremme ran into his left rear quarter panel coming out of turn 4 and ended up bringing out the first caution of the race. Amber Mills also got collected in this accident. It appears on the initial start, the 6M was trying to get to David Stremme's inside, but just wasn't clear enough, ended up catching his left rear. After Stremme climbed out of his car, he walked around and examined it and made sure everything was all right, but inevitably had to be taken back to the pits and unfortunately never ended up running the feature race. So a very disappointing ending to David Stremme's day, to say the least, but we hope that he does return to the track sometime in the near future. Local driver Mike Altobelli then went on to win that feature race. New York driver Rick Michael Jr. finished first in heat race number 2 for the Modified Touring Series. So moving on to the feature races of the night, Rick Michael Jr. and Carl McKinney led the field of modified cars to the start of the 30-lap feature race. You know, I just realized that I've been calling him Rick Michael Jr. instead of Rich Michael Jr., so I apologize for that. I'm going to correct that from here on out. So anyway, Rich Michael Jr. led the first part of the race, and after the caution flew at about lap 10 or so, Michael Altobelli took over the lead on the restart, and after leading most of the mid portion of the race, the caution flew again at about lap 16. And on that restart, Rich Michael Jr. then returned to favor and took back the lead. So the cautions in the restarts definitely played a factor in this race. Rich was able to hold on to his lead for the remainder of the race and ended up taking home a trophy and a check for $2,000. Here's some of the audio from Rich Michael Jr.'s Victory Lane interview.
Well, Rich, congratulations. Thank you. That was one heck of a race right there. I tell you what, you're out the belly was at it, and there for a while, I'm not sure what happened there with Mike, but I tell you what, once you got out there in the front, you're really down in the old metal out there.
Yeah, I saw Mike underneath me there, and I knew he was, and then he took the outside and got me, and when I thought it was over, and then I started reeling him back in, and then he took the bottom because he saw me down there, and then I just rolled the top there, and I was way better on top than the bottom there. Just okay. Top was the place to be there.
Well, we've had a lot of fans come to me and say, Dan, you got to bring this here class in more often. And I said to everyone that I've talked to, I said, well, they definitely know how to put on a show.
Yeah, we usually do. It's usually side by side most of the time. The track conditions are right, but I mean, Cody's got a good thing going there. He brought it back this year and had a really good car count. And he's got some good followers, and he's doing a really good job with it. Just want to thank him for starting to back up, because we wouldn't have these big paying shows if it wasn't for him.
Well, we really appreciate the fact that you made the long tow from New York down here, and we look forward to you coming back here sometime whenever I get another show going.
Thank you very much.
No problem. Hey, folks, let's hear it for Rich Michaels, folks. Come on, give us a big round of applause.
So congratulations to Rich Michael Jr. on his Renegades of Dirt Modified Touring Series feature race win. And I would also like to thank the Renegades of Dirt Modified Touring Series for coming to Dog Hollow Speedway and just having an awesome night with us. The people who help run the series travel a great distance to race the places that they do. I know that the videographers who were up with us up in the balcony there had traveled from, it was either North or South Carolina. But regardless, they had a long journey home that night, and we just like to thank them for making the trek and just the whole entire series for coming to the track. And we do hope that they return to Dog Hollow sometime in the near future. So the feature race that took place before the Renegades of Dirt Modified series was the Pure Stock race, and that was a very entertaining race. Brad Benton led the majority of the race, with Duke Davidson right behind him the whole time. I believe Duke even spun out once and was able to work his way all the way back up to Brad, so they just definitely battled back and forth and make for some good racing. However, on lap 7, Mike Ball went for a wild ride over turn 2 in his 399 Pure Stock race truck whenever he accidentally collided with Duke Davidson, and his car careened to the edge of the track and ended up rolling over once. The emergency crews responded to the accident, but shortly after, Mike Ball was seen driving his car back up onto the track over in turn 3. At this point, the crowd just erupted into applause and was just happy to see that he was okay, and even better that he was able to still drive his car. For a second, we thought he might be able to continue the race, but his car was too damaged to the point where he just ended up having to bring his car back to the pits. Brad Benton then went on to win his first Pure Stock race of the season at Dog Hollow Speedway in 2019. So that was some of the main highlights of the evening. I know I didn't get to all of the classes from that night, but if you wish to read over the full results from last Saturday's race, you can head on over to our website and look at the results under the 2019 results tab. This coming Sunday's event is the Memorial Day Special, as well as the Jim St. John Memorial for the Thunder on the Dirt Vintage Modified Racing Series. This will be a non-points race for all classes, and the feature class of the night will be the Marion Center Steel Blocks. The 270 and 600 microsprints will be returning to the track, as well as a new series called the Young Gun Sprints. This is a developmental class that races throughout central and western Pennsylvania, and it is supposed to help bring up the future and upcoming stars of the sprint car world. And this weekend's racing action is scheduled to start at 6. This has been Ryan's Race Update. Be sure to check back every week for the latest information throughout the 2019 season. Have a good rest of your week, everybody.